historiography behind Vedic period. If we talk something about historians and how this particular topic we are able to study in history, that part comes under historiography. Today it is going to be very straightforward, like what is their geographic location, what is their society, economy, all those things. So one by one we will keep on read it. So first you give the heading, Geography of Vedic people. Geography of Vedic people. Right, questions, previous year questions, then only you will get some idea. Discuss the geographical area known to the Rigvedic people. Known to the Rigvedic people. Were they familiar, full stop, were they familiar with the sea? Were they familiar with the sea? This was asked in 1985. So that time this type of questions used to come. Associated with that question, one more question. Give an account of the geography. Give an account of the geography of the Vedic texts. Vedic texts. And describe the social life during the Vedic times. And social life during the Vedic times. Social life during the Vedic times. Now you see geography also and also society also. Now geography of Vedic people, you give the heading. Now when it comes to this, we need to draw this map. Now this is we will draw geography. Now you say this. This debate is never ending. Whether Aryans came from outside, whether they are Indians. So as of now, the mostly accepted theory we are going to study. This is the place from where they started migrating. Somewhere, for example, above the Black Sea. And from there, they come down. Now you see Turkey, and from there they come to Iran, and one branch come to here. But exactly the route and the time when they migrated also we don't have clarity, and the routes they have taken for reaching India, whether this route or some other route also, we don't have any clarity. And this is one, because it all depends on whatever text available here. Here Vedas are available, and here what is the name? Jendaveshta, and here Greece. Homer's works, Iliad and Odyssey. Based on these texts, it appears all these texts have similar type of ideas, similar type of words. Based on that, there must be some kind of connection between all of them, and somewhere we can trace like this. According to Max Muller, this was the thesis given by Max Muller, and when it comes to dateline also, he started giving the dates going backward. For example, Sutra literature is Buddhism, Jainism time period. Then he started saying that this Sutra literature is derived from the Brahmanas, the Vedic texts. That must be 200 years before this Sutra literature. And when it comes to Brahmanas, they derived from the Vedas. That must be 200 years even much earlier. The first Veda is Rig Veda. That must be even 200 years earlier. That's why he calculated based on the timing, going backward. But he himself says it is not accurate. He himself acknowledges that it is only hypothetical, but according to my understanding of the literature, it appears that around 1200 BC, and even if we go back to 300 years backward, the timeline is going to be 1500 to 1000 BC is the period where Rig Veda was compiled, and this is the geographical location in which they compiled. Geography, northwestern Pakistan and Punjab plains, the Sapta Sindhwa river. So these are the things which we need to highlight. Now you give India map.
Sir, these questions of just like the geography very important in getting people. In the when I write the answer, sir, I write the answer according to all the understandings. And just write, if I just write drawing data and if I just circle this part and then the region of Aryans, then will it be okay or?
That is in simple way of expression. But if question is about particularly geography, we have to give some more details, like what are the rivers they know. Yes, map definite. While showing the map, you show like this.
Because sir, instead of reading the whole answer, he will just look at the map. He will just look at the map first and say that he knows the place. Now the place will.
Examiner come to an idea that student know the answer. Write this.
Geography.
Here in this map, you give Indus, Jilam, Chenab, Ravi, Bias, Sutlej is SUT. Sutlej. And Saraswati, Saraswati Gaddar. That's why some scholars who want to prove this Indus Valley civilization as Indian, or the Vedic people or Indus Valley people are Rigved. They used to say Sindhu Saraswati civilization. Saraswati Gaggar. So this is the one. Now even this is also not without any controversy. And some says this Saraswati river is somewhere here near Afghanistan. So they are, instead of mentioning this one, they are referring to that. But for now, let us write like this: Sindhu and Saraswati. And here we have Kabul River. The geography known to have written. Now give some few points. Same thing we are writing in a text format so that you will have an idea how we have to present it. The geographical horizon of the Rigvedic hymns the geographical horizon of the Rigvedic hymns gives us an idea of initial Aryan settlement in the subcontinent. Full stop. The earliest Aryans lived in eastern Afghanistan, Punjab, and the fringes of western Uttar Pradesh. Now map is also clear. Afghanistan, eastern Afghanistan, Punjab and western UP. And it is not surprising that this is the location where Mahabharata also took place. Fringes of western UP, Punjab, eastern. Next point. Though not adequately supported, by the archaeological evidence, our source of understanding is Rig Veda. Rig Veda, full stop. The most frequently mentioned rivers, the most frequently mentioned rivers are the Sindhu, the Saraswati, and Drishyadvati. D-R-I, Drishyadvati. What is this? This is Gaggar.
So what is Saraswati?
Saraswati is now lost. Full stop. Gaggar, Hakra. We are calling Gaggar Hakra. Hakra must be Saraswati. And because now it is dried up channel, we are not able, that's why we are, first point we are saying, though not adequately supported by the archaeological evidence. And we are saying that when it comes to the causes for decline of Harappan civilization, also the drying up of riverbeds.
So there has been this Haryana government is
trying to excavate. Yes, efforts are going on. Let us see that when in future some evidence comes, we will study about that. When it comes to Vedic literature, Saraswati is very important because near Allahabad, this is Prayag, and they renamed it as Prayagraj also. Ganga is meeting, Yamuna is meeting. According to text, Saraswati is also meeting near Prayagraj. Then on the surface we are not able to see it. So that's why it must be either mythical, or if it exists in 1500 BC, it must have dried up. Only two possibilities. Full stop. The most frequently mentioned rivers are Sindhu, the Saraswati, and the Drishyadvati, Gaggar. Full stop. But the main focus of Rigvedic culture seems, focus of the Rigvedic culture seems to have been the Punjab and Delhi region.
Delhi and Punjab region.
Punjab and Delhi region, that means western part. Sapta Sindhva, next point. Sapta Sindhva, or the land of seven rivers. The land of seven rivers include now you give a table. This table will contain all the seven rivers. Today we are calling them as Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas, Sutlej. But they referred with different names.
So that new one only in that table.
So we will write what Rigvedic name, what is the present name. Indus, they called Sindhu. That's why the name Sapta Sindhva. Sindhu. Jhelum. Vitasta. Present Rigveda. Jhelum, Vitasta. Chenab. Askini, Asikni, you will find different spellings. This is the one. Chenab. Ravi, Purushni. That's why Rigveda says on the banks of river Purushni, battle of 10 kings took place, like that. They refer Purushni, Askini, Vitasta, Sindhu likewise. Ravi. Beas. Beas is Vipas. Sutlej. Shutudri. So now if we go to this serial number, how many came? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 came. Now the seventh one. Now in Sapta Sindhva, some account says the seventh one as Saraswati. Some historians say that seventh river is Kabul river. So here you write Saraswati. So this seventh river will keep change according to the new NCERT books. When one set comes, that becomes Kabul river. One set comes, Saraswati river it comes. Because this is a never ending. Because this is so sensitive for the Indian politics. The problem with the study of Rigveda or early Vedic period, it is not free from politics. It is not studied from purely academic point of view. Because there are politics associated with this particular thing. That's why even if you debate for rest of the class or few more days also, it will never stop. This is how 7. Therefore, last point, conclusion. Therefore,
Saraswati sir, what we have right in Rigveda?
Saraswati?
No, in the present ceremony, what I will write, sir?
The present. Now,
Put it black or Either Kabul river or maybe Hakra.
No, Gaggar is different. Hakra river, even that is also not clear. Problem is, if it exists, then only we can say something. So in bracket you write, they called it as Saraswati river, and the present day you can say lost. Saraswati. Present Rig Veda. So why this particular last statement? Then we will finish this. Therefore, now you see, when it comes to later Vedic time period, Gangetic Valley occupies very significant place. But at this point of time, Gangetic Valley is not there. Are you getting? So this is early Vedic time period. In this region, the people settled, and this is the location where Rig Veda was developed. And it is natural that Swami Dayananda Saraswati, Arya Samaj, very much impactful in this region. Last conclusion. Therefore, the geographical knowledge of the early Aryans does not seem to have extended beyond the Yamuna, which is mentioned in the Rig Veda. Yamuna also mentioned, but their main core area seems Sindhu river and its tributaries.
So that does not seem to have
extended beyond the Yamuna, comma, which is mentioned in the Rig Veda. Indus mentioned, Yamuna mentioned, but the main core area is Indus river. Okay, now you give contemporaries. Rig Vedic people. Sanju, please come online, video. Now you see this, contemporaries to Rig Vedic people. Now timeline we are saying 1500 to 1000 BC. Now we have to see during this time period who are the other people.
So early Vedic period, it has been taken on the Rig Vedic, the only Rig Veda from 1000 to 500 or other Vedas. So that means only in 500 years they just go to compare only one book, or they might have compared other books, but those are not found.
Even those people also don't know that they are compiling a book. It is like from morning to evening, they were praising the gods. They were living according to their understanding. So from morning to evening, for every occasion, they used to utter some words, some praisings of the god. In the early morning, in the afternoon, in the night, whenever rain comes, some kind of hymns. Then people started thinking that this god who is giving rain or thunder must be a person called Indra. and all this universe is run by a person called Varuna, and every day they are seeing some kind of fires, then fire must be a god, Agni god. These are the ideas evolving. You can say the ideas. And these ideas no one has written down in one day. It's a gradual process. Every day it keep on changes, and over a period of time we are reconstructing. We are reconstructing for this period to understand what happened during 1500 to 1000 BC. Now we are going back and reading this particular text called Rig Veda. So it appears that this was compiled over a period of 500 years, and we are studying the life of those people who followed this particular Rig Veda. It was orally compiled. Oral transmission. One sage, he creates some kind of hymns and he give it to the students, and those students give it to the next students. So likewise, generation after the generation, at least 500 years means how many generations you are doing? Maximum 5 you can take. Even if you take 6 also, 5 to 6 generation. So one teacher is there, he passed to the next generation, and those children to the next disciples, like that, 5 to 6 generations. So these ideas got completely solidified. That's why you see the nature of ideas. 1500 is going to have different kind of pattern. Around 1000 it is going to have some kind of pattern. For example, when it comes to Varna system, in the beginning there was no term called Shudra, but in the end of it you will find Shudra term. This is evolving over a period of time. Now in this time period 1500 to 1000, in 1500 they must be in another eastern Afghanistan, that area. Now gradually moving towards Punjab plains and gradually move towards Yamuna. It is not that in a single day they occupied all these areas, because it is a continuous migration process. When they are meeting new people, new cultures, they started adopting new ideas also, and they gradually entered into text also, oral transmission. That's why we have to know who are these contemporaries, because some terms we get like Dasa, Dasyus, different names will come. That is why to understand that we need to know who are the people who lived along with them. Make this map. You can give mainly, or better to have proper India map. Full India map, so that you will have complete idea who are living. So here you give different circles, because it is going to be mixture of different cultures. Early Vedic people. Who are these people? From 1500 to 1000 means in this area who are living? Jukar, yes. In this region. Ahar. In this region. Jorvi is in Maharashtra.
And there is the medium of Maharashtra.
Malwa culture.
And sir, Upinder is in Pakistan region.
And here in Deccan region, up to 1000, from 3000 to 1000, who are there? Neolithic, Chalcolithic?
So that's, I was given the culture. I thought there is no culture.
Neolithic, Chalcolithic cultures.
So there is Jukar.
Here you have Jukar, Symmetry H,
That will be part of the region.
Symmetry H, then Jukar. Combined we call late Harappan. Late Harappans. And here we have ochre colored pottery, OCP culture. And now coming to this area, around 1000, this is Neolithic. And when it comes to this area and this area, Neolithic, Chalcolithic. Chiran, Panduraja Devi, Neolithic, Chalcolithic. If we study really all these people, then only we say we are studying Indian history for 1500 to 1000. But generally what we study? We study only Vedic studies. And what about these many people?
So because these were the most prominent ones, had the script and all, and others did not, others are very rudimentary in nature.
Exactly. In all these cultures, only these people have written records. Historian depends on written records, and he never worried about all these things. That is where archaeology comes into play.
So like in Harappa, there are so many things, sir. It's a pride of India, but we still don't concentrate on history. And these things are nothing compared to Harappa.
Exactly. Now you see, that is how, this is where the importance of archaeology comes. Without archaeological evidence, our history will not complete.
But using further than
Yeah. Okay. Now in this context, write one question. So whenever I am giving you the question, you write like this in bracket, so that you will have better idea. That is a separate question, and it will not disturb the flow also. Write this question. This was asked in 2019. Now you see how questions are changing. Direct geography question in 1980s, but now by 2019 the change is. Do you agree that archaeological evidence often helps in the better understanding of literary sources? Question mark, comment. Are you getting? Now this question is saying archaeological sources will give better understanding of literary sources. But in fact, there is other way of looking also. Wherever literary sources are there, early Vedic people and later Vedic people have literary sources. And we can corroborate whatever these texts are saying with archaeological evidence. But there are other areas, they don't have written records at all. So even without written records, how we reconstruct? Only evidence is archaeological source. Are you getting? Archaeological source is so important, otherwise from our Indian history, this almost disappeared. Only we were always talking about Vedic period onwards. That is why in 19th century, before the advent of archaeological evidences, our understanding about our own past is Vedas only. And Vedas are considered as the beginning of Indian history. And whatever Vedas are saying, they all portray the golden period of Indian history, Vedic period, in the initial phases. That is why Dayananda Saraswati used to say that go back to Vedas. Because when Britishers were degrading the Indian culture and nationalists were saying that whatever you are saying, we accept that there are some evils today, but our Indian culture is not always like this. And in the initial stages, our society was very egalitarian in nature. That is what. But once archaeological evidence comes, it appeared that we have history much before Vedic period itself. That is a pride movement. But unfortunately, because of the politics, now all sections of Indians are not able to digest this. Because it goes against Vedic period. According to some section, it is the beginning of history. It is the beginning of Indian history. Now what does it mean? Beginning of Indian history means whatever Indian culture, everything flows from Vedic period. So Indian culture originate, everything, whatever today we are seeing as Indian culture, everything flows from Vedic period. Up to 19th century is fine. But now when archaeology came, it appeared that there is something before Vedic period also, that is, we are calling prehistoric period. In fact, some scholars say it is better to use prehistoric is not a correct word, because this is also historic period. The so-called prehistoric period is also a historic period. That is also past of the human beings, Indians. This is the past of Indians. And we are calling it as history of India. Then people who lived before that also, that is also past of Indians. Then why don't you call it also a history of India? Why to consider it as a prehistory? So there is no term called prehistory. That is why some scholars, they feel better in giving the word pre-literate past. And this is literature. Through literature we are reconstructing our past, and this is pre-literate past of India. But that is also history of India only. Now, if this is through archaeological sources, now if more and more evidence comes here, now this belief goes against this. The beginning of history goes against this belief. Now you have to trace beginning of history here. Now, if you believe that, then if more and more evidence comes, then Indian culture will not start from here. It will start from here. Now, whatever you are propagating, that everything, whatever is there as part of Indian culture is flowed from Vedic period, that goes wrong. But only if you propagate this, then your political purpose will survive. Otherwise, it goes against the very ideology of that particular idea.
The thing is, the person who did that Vedic period is the beginning of Aryans Vedic. According to his timeline, he is correct.
Exactly.
But according to, if we consider that thing as correct, in the present times, it is nothing but illiteracy.
That's what. As time progress, new evidence will come. Our history also will keep on, perspective also will keep on change. We should be open-minded to accept that reality. If we are not open-minded, conflict do arise. Now this is where this pre-literate past, IVC came. Obviously for Indians it is a very pride moment, but for these people it is not that pride. Obviously it goes against them. And now only way to make this and this is to converge. That IVC is nothing but Vedic people are nothing but IVC people. But that is also going against the evidence. Archaeology is saying this developed in a different time period, this developed in a different time period. No better. This is going against the belief that now Vedic people, new theory came, these are migrants and these are indigenously developed. Now again this is another painful point for those who believe this is the beginning of Indian history. And this theory is saying they are not at all stayed in this part of the globe when IVC civilization was flourishing. Then this Indian culture, who really should take the precedence? Vedic people or IVC people? And after archaeology evidence came, even much before IVC also, Indians were living in a different stage. This is also historic period only, but that is pre-literate history. To simplify that, because this is before the advent of archaeology, that is why simply earlier historians were just reading literature, and whatever literature is there, they considered it as history. And before that, they called prehistory. Now scholars are feeling that it is not correct to infer this as a prehistory, because this is also history, this is also history. If you want to consider it as a separate one, you consider post-literate history and pre-literate history, because both are belongs to the history of India. So why to completely stay away like a prehistory and proto-history and historic period? Everything is past of Indians. If you want better, pre-literate and post-literate. Because now history is not only depending on literature, it is also depending on archaeology. So this shows how significant the archaeology is in reconstructing the Indian history. That is why nowadays in more and more questions are coming in this angle. Archaeology. Now can you write one more question with respect to archaeology itself? This is 2007 question, 2007. Reconstruction of early Indian history. Reconstruction of early Indian history is hardly possible without the help of archaeological sources. Without reconstruction of early Indian history is hardly possible without the help of archaeological sources. Discuss.
I can example of this Vedic literature.
Are you getting this question, Sanju? Without archaeological sources, it is very difficult to reconstruct our own past. And in fact, archaeology is not only important for pre-literate history also, it is in fact very important even for literate history also. Because whatever literature is saying, whether it is true or false, whether literature means I can write anything, you can write anything. But it doesn't mean whatever I am writing is whatever happened really. I can imagine something, I can write. But people in the future, they will not know exactly what happened, only if they rely on my source and they cannot distinguish whatever I am saying is out of my own imagination or out of reality. That is where even during literate period also, archaeology is playing very important role in corroborating. And this is exactly where for Vedic period also very, very crucial. It is not about whatever Vedas are saying that is the complete history we cannot take, because those people who developed Vedas, they are not historians. They did not develop Vedas for the sake of preserving history. It is their way of life.
You also thought also that people would someday uncover us and...
They also don't know. It is an evolution of human beings in this part of Indian subcontinent. And they were living according to their ideas. Today we are living according to our own ideas. We are not living like 15th century, 16th century people. And obviously we cannot live how after 500 years people are going to live. The way we are living is according to the nature, according to the present circumstances. Similarly, Vedic people are also living according to their circumstances. Obviously, they did not live for 21st century people. And they are going to live according to their ideas. According to them, they saw every nature is run by some kind of people called gods. They attributed every natural force to some kind of personality, personification of God. We are learning about these people through these literature. So now you give next. Economic life of Vedic people. And if you see here, throughout history, migration is not something new. That is how people spread across the globe. The initial Homo sapiens, they started from this location and they are continuously migrating. Why do they migrate? In the initial classes, I have given this, why people migrate.
Various factors clear.
Very good.
So first I take natural resources, like burden on natural resources, or maybe unavailability of natural resources, and also favorable climate, because if the climate doesn't suit a person, he will obviously migrate.
Okay.
And also in the recent context, it might be due to political causes, because if there is a political imbalance,
conflicts. Sanju, can you remember? During ancient time periods, why people were continuously migrating?
So that feeling of exploration and searching of new lands.
Curiosity to know more and more. Multiple factors. Economic factors.
Or maybe one of those things that they were very hunter-gatherers, and the animals used to migrate in the change of seasons. So they also followed those animals, or maybe they raised before the animals so that they could hunt them down.
So this is climate, in search of food, in search of curiosity. But most dominant factor is in search of food.
So that was the primary thing of the army.
If you are comfortable in one place, why do you want to go to some other new place? If you are getting food, If you are getting all comforts, then you don't wish to go to new place. But if you are not getting food and if you are not peaceful in that area, always conflicts are there. For limited resources, obviously people look for new alternatives. Now same is the case even with respect to Vedic people also. And according to this, when earliest people, they when migrated to different places, and even today also migration is not something new. Indians are migrating to USA, Rohingyas are coming to India, Bangladesh are coming to India, Indians are going to Middle East. So everywhere Indians are migrating and other people are also coming, Africans are coming to India. Why? Suppose you can say, when Africans are coming to India, why Indians need to go to other places? And in fact, some Indians are going to Africa also. When Africans are coming to India, why Indians are going to Africa?
So various needs. Maybe we go there for occupation, then they come here for political stability.
Exactly. They have different requirement. For example, we have good healthcare facilities, for example, and they will come for that. And suppose if some person is a business person, he gets some kind of contract in Africa and they will go and settle. Economic opportunities, so healthcare, social issue. When it comes to economic angle, economy. And suppose diplomats are also going to Africa and staying there, political, administrative causes. Similarly, Africans are also coming to India.
Various student exchange programs happen in
cultural exchange programs are happening of the mutual cordial relationship. There are multiple factors. And some people, they want better employment opportunity in India. They apply for a job. When they get the job, they come here. Likewise, it is throughout history, even today also, migration from one place to the other place is very, very natural. Now, in this, to understand that, here, these people were initially in this location. These are grasslands, steppes, and naturally, when population increases, these limited resources, competition increases.
Grasses grown, which are good for cattle but not for human consumption.
Exactly. So you have to be agrarian person. And again, for practicing agriculture, you need special tools also.
That part of maybe that Eastern European place that is very cold in winter time. So
during cold time period or winter time period, it is going to be very cold. Survival issue is becoming very harsh. And when these things are there, if some places are comfortable, then if people compete for them, it led to conflicts. And this conflict is not something new. Even today also, for example, China and the surrounding countries are fighting for the natural resources in South China Sea. And that is why India is always cautious about if someone comes to Indian Ocean, it creates some kind of instability in our own region. That is why we want always open resources are open to everyone. Navigation should be open to all so that conflict will not arise. And it teaches our own history only teaches. French people were there, British people were there. They were fighting continuously in Carnatic wars. Portuguese were there and English people, they fought against each other. And Portuguese people, they fought against our own kingdoms like Bahmani kingdom, Bijapur kingdom and Gujarat Sultanate. And in fact, Gujarat Sultan was killed by Portuguese. They asked him to come to board, come to the ship to have some kind of agreement. But once he went there and they drowned him. This Portuguese, they wanted to control this area so that this is important for trading purpose. They get more profits. And around the same time, Mughals were here. Mughals also wanted to share this. But again, conflict arises. That's why Portuguese and Mughals conflicts used to take place. Yes, Mughals and Portuguese, they used to fight.
So Mughals don't have any navy.
That is why after some time they started encouraging the opponents of Portuguese, English. That is why they started giving settlements to the English also. Because they felt that Mughals cannot compete navy wise, they encouraged English and Portuguese used to fight.
So like Akbar built that church in Kerala.
Particularly during Jahangir time period. English people came during Jahangir time period, and Jahangir was more attractive towards English because English people defeated the Portuguese. Always Mughals wanted to defeat Portuguese, but they were not able to do in the open sea.
Sir, in a book, I mean, I'm not so sure about the thing, but sir, it is written that Sir Thomas and there was another one.
Captain Hawkins.
Captain Hawkins, sir. Sir, they secured the deal that they wanted to carry us free, like they wanted to trade and so they persuaded Jahangir by giving him bottle of liquor. And is this true or is
Could be. At that time, whatever is famous in Europe, and if you remember, what is Bindusara? Do you remember the Bindusara? Who is Bindusara? Father of Ashoka. Chandragupta Maurya was there. Chandragupta Maurya and Greeks fought against each other for this land. Later Bindusara came. Bindusara asked Greeks to send some kind of wine.
Wines and olives and figs.
Figs, wine and sophist, philosopher. And they told, we can export wine and other things, we cannot export philosopher. So they denied possible, whatever he likes, it's natural, exchange of the gifts. But king will go beyond that exchange of the gift. Gift is only for just generous or just to have some kind of good communication to each other. But they take the administrative decisions based on the overall perspective of the empire. At that time, Portuguese were very powerful. Jahangir felt English are the better opponents of the Portuguese. Because English and Portuguese were fighting. In some of the occasions, English won victories. And he felt that it is better to counterbalance Portuguese by the English. And even today also, that kind of calculations used to take place. China versus USA, when they are fighting, Russia encourages China. If Russia and USA fight, then China encourages Russia. Everyone have their own interest. That's all why we are saying everyone fighting for the resources, and when they are fighting for the resources, conflicts used to arise and people will migrate to new areas. Some are peaceful migrations, some are forceful migrations. Today also, many West Asian people, these are people are migrating out of force. In Syria, almost for 10 years, more than 10 years, war is going on. And if that is continuously going on, naturally Syrian people already they migrated to various places. And if that continues, most of the people will migrate. And when you migrate, here some kind of culture is there. And these people brought new culture, some kind of intermixing will take place. And if they are powerful enough, they will resist that migration. If they are not powerful, they allow it. If they are kind enough, they allow it. There are multiple factors why people encourage migrations. For example, USA encouraged migrations because talent is going there. When talent is going, they will encourage. And if they feel terrorists are going there, they will stop the migration. If they feel that is insecure for them, they will stop. If they feel that benefits them, they will encourage. But for these people, it is out of force, and for them, it is choice. So these people used to migrate, keep on migrating. For example, today, Ukraine war is going on. This is the same place we are talking from where Vedic people also came. And Ukraine war is going on. Now many Ukrainians, they already migrated to Poland, Romania, in the immediate neighboring countries. And Poland, they allowed, Romania allowed out of humanitarian, but perpetually they cannot allow it. At some point of time, these ties will break up and they will put pressure on Ukraine. And gradually what happens? They themselves will occupy Ukraine. And this already, Russia is already wanting to acquire. So this conflict will go on. So from the today's prism, if we see, These conflicts are continuously happening throughout the history. Whenever such conflict do arise, people will migrate. Even if there are no conflicts, people out of search for new employment, new better opportunities, new economic status, they will also migrate. These could be the causes, and they are continuously migrating. In their original land, their main economic activity is pastoralism. And in search of not only for the food of human beings, they need food for the animals also. And if cattle do not get sufficient food or grass over there, they will keep on go to new places. Even today also, villagers take their flock and they go to the near hilly area somewhere. And if they don't get grass, what they will do? They move further. And if they don't get that, they will move further. That is why even in our own Himalayas, you might have studied in geography, during summer time period, they will go to different places. During winter time period, they go to different places. In Himalayan, in Himachal and Uttarakhand areas, tribal people are tribes like Bakarwal. They used to take their flock, sheep, and go to upper reaches of the Himalayas, and again when grass is done, now they will come down. In this way, in search of food for both human beings as well as animals, people will continuously move on. Now same is the case at this point of time. We are in this place, we are talking about 1500. But when they were here, it must be 1700. When they are here, it must be 2000 BC. And when 2000 BC, in Indian subcontinent also, Neolithic, Chalcolithic. And we have seen in the map pointing, Neolithic, Chalcolithic people, what was their main? Cattle, goat, sheep. And when it comes to food items also, basic food items, whatever they can grow with limited resources. And these people also, they are also producing limited crops, but their main focus was on pastoralism. And when they come here, they are going to continue this area in this area also. Let us write these points. Sanju, clear up to here? Now you write this: economic life of Aryans. Write this point. The Aryans came to India as semi-nomadic people. Underline this point. The Aryans came to India as semi-nomadic people with a mixed pastoral and agricultural economy. With a mixed pastoral and agricultural economy, in which cattle rearing played a predominant role. You give the main heading, pastoralism. Subheading of economic life. We are going to give like pastoralism, then agriculture, likewise. Pastoralism. Okay, done? Now you give subheading cattle. Cattle formed their most valued possession. Cattle formed their most valued possession and the chief form of their wealth. Cattle is their wealth. A wealthy person was called Gomat. A wealthy person was called Gomat. Prayers were made for the increase of cattle. Prayers were made for the increase of cattle. Today people will go to temples and they praise God. For which purpose? To get good employment, to increase the business revenue, to increase more savings, to get more gold. Well, today's our wealth is this, to get more land. At that time, cattle was their wealth. They pray for the more cattle wealth. Cow was the chief medium of exchange. Cow was chief medium of exchange.
Sir, in the East European countries, sir, there are very less number of cows, sir. Very less amount of, like, cows are neither found or very less found, sir.
Okay.
So how can we say that if these people were only the cows are the important part and they knew cows so much, then how can you say that they are from Central Europe? Because in those extreme weather conditions, cows cannot survive. Cows only survive in low areas, pasture areas.
Okay. So only in this area cattle are more.
Yes.
In this area they will not.
In East European countries, cows, cattle means cows, no?
Cattle means cow is also one of the examples of cattle.
Because sheep and goat can be there, and if the goats are with the ibex and all those kinds, those hilly goats are found. But if the go means cow. Go means cow.
Then today we are importing from milk powder during independence time period. We were importing milk from Ukraine region and New Zealand. How that is possible?
New Zealand is there because New Zealand is a very flat area.
Okay.
Flat area. So they might have.
How milk is imported from European countries?
So they have also like it happens sometimes as a middleman. Now also they are because as a middleman because I buy something and I give it to a higher price.
Okay. So cattle, according to cattle, will not develop here.
So cattle will develop, but sir, some few kind of cattle, sir. Because sheep will be there because sheep can survive in cold regions and survive in Kashmir also, sir. Because in Kashmir you find number of sheep. Because the sheep are made up of Kashmir rules and all. How many cows can you find in Kashmir?
Okay.
You can find horses also, like in Gulmarg and Shonmarg is there. You can find sheep also, because in that yoga region we see movies, sheep are there, cats and sheep. But sir, cows, how many cows can we find? Like in how many movies in Kashmir did you see cows are roaming in the streets?
So it is a natural limitation?
Natural limitation.
Okay, I will see this. I don't know.
Suddenly.
Okay, fine. So chief medium of exchange. Cattle were often the cause of inter-tribal wars. Cattle were often the cause of inter-tribal wars. The word for battle is Gavishti.
The word for cattle. After inter-tribal.
Cattle were often the cause of inter-tribal wars.
After that sentence.
After that, the word for battle, the term for battle is Gavishti. So you can see Gomath, owner of cattle, Gavishti, the war, name of the war, Gavishti. In bracket, the meaning of Gavishti is a search for cows. So this shows the importance of cattle, importance of cows in their life. Several other terms also derived from cow. In later time period, the term Gotra also emerged from this.
So this Gotra, people are the same Gotra.
Yes. So this is how you can say how the importance of cattle.
So one thing, sir, that cows are that Ukrainians are compound. So we import wheat from Russia, sir. We import wheat, that's why the price of wheat increased because of the Russian-Ukraine war. But so we grow huge amounts of wheat in Punjab, Haryana, all those parts, sir. But still we import it because of zero population, sir. Because we have the second largest population. Sometimes just few months before it over to China also. But again but sir, that those times 15,000 you yourself said that the tribal band of 10 to 15 or maybe 200 people, sir.
Okay.
So sir, they need not use to have that much of population pressure that they have to import cow milk or powder like today's times. Because today, due to population, sir, and also free subsidies if you get, sir, Ukraine is a very poor country.
Okay.
And sir, getting milk powder is more cheaper than making milk powder in India.
Okay, understood.
So that's why to avoid this population pressure, Indian government is taking that part. Sir, in those times, sir, the population is not so much. So sir, that's why I'm doing that cows that in that markets. In the same case in Saudi Arabia also, sir, because it's a desert region and Islamic people in that cows are very important for their sacrifice and because in Saudi Arabia, the main origin of Islam, sir, how can cows survive in the desert region, sir? Because cows are only survive in alluvial plain types, sir.
Okay.
And also the term that Bakar is any four-leg category, which does not mean to be a cow, which is now referred to as cow because of political reasons too. Both sides have their own agenda. That means that Hindus also have their own agenda, Muslims also have their own agenda. But so this term they arrive with it, it's more of a political.
So what is your understanding now? What is your thesis?
So my thesis.
Cow is.
My thesis is, sir, not my thesis, what I seen from geography and all. Sir, in those regions, sir, cows, those are the hilly areas and also very low grass regions, sir. And so we have seen cows, they cannot survive in hilly regions. Mules, horses, they can survive, like in Genghis Khan or those areas. We have seen that they come from either horses and mules. Yeah. But they have never used cows or like that. And in Eastern Europe also, sir, in movies you see, or like the primary theme of POK, but we have never been, neither I have been there, but we see in movies that there have been valleys and there, so we have never seen cows. That's not saying that. If that people came from Central Asia, like Central Asian theory, then so why do you have so much fascination about cows? If they do not get cows, they could fight on ships, which is more common. They could fight on boats also common, but cows are not so common. I have never seen cows.
So finally, what conclusion we can make out of it?
I think conclusion is making that either those times the geography was different. That's not because which is significant that geography obviously, because in 20 years we see rivers disappear, thousands of years, so maybe geography has changed, rivers have changed their courses, climatic changes occurred, so might have been due to deforestation also, people settlement also. The cows are not.
In those geographical conditions, they were naturally raised.
In Harappan region, we see crocodiles are there.
Yes.
So,
exactly. Tigers were there, rhinoceros were there. That time it was different geographic.
But now tiger is fully endangered in India. How can it? Because of geography. So So I'm saying that in that geographical context, it might have been cows were there because
Predominantly there.
but sir, in today's context, if you see, cows are nearly impossible to be in that regions, and also true that because most of the
And it also, the present day is circumstances are different. The present day circumstances, they are also used for food also. That's why there are many slaughterhouses also in this same region, whatever we are talking. At the time, it was not that, or the population is not that much. Today, population is so much that for food, existing cattle also not sufficient.
The meat of the cow is a very famous dish among the world, sir.
Yes, so today circumstance is different, but at that time, it was a different one.
In fact, sir, the best quality of meat you can find of that famous dish steak, that is a Wagyu beef. It comes from Australia. In fact, it is so costly, so it is the costliest meat in the world, and also the authenticity is proved by the nose print of the animal. And when it comes in package, the nose print is given on the cows, so that people could scan and people could know that it's a thing from Wagyu. The name of the cows, like in US you have Jersey cows, so it is Wagyu.
Okay.
It is only present in just Michelin stars restaurants only they use, otherwise they won't use anything.
So that's why today's food habit are different, and that time number of animals are different, population also different, environment is also different. Under those circumstances they were growing, but now it is difficult.
Cows were there, or if someone does not have this geographical thing that if he thinks this geographical region of 2023 as 3000 BC, that means
No,
wrong.
that is different completely. 4000 years ago environment condition was different, and today it is completely different.
Oh, sir, once we were to Sahara was also under an ocean. Sahara was an ocean too.
So that's why conditions were different. Whatever they mentioned in Rig Veda, according to that we are studying their economic life.
And until now, the Central Asian theory is much more constructive as well as conclusive also. But the thing is much more evident that people, nobody is sure of it, even Max Planck himself says it. But sir, the things he wrote and also our general understanding is that people have obviously migrated, Aryans are not, because simple thing, in India sir, most of the people are very dark skinned because of tropical nature and
Exactly.
And the people that came were tempered or made physics on that. So people's melanin content will be less. So now interfacing has happened. So in the brown skin came, but that time it's not because in liver is written that they had got long skull and they are of great height, and no Indians are of that great height which can
Exactly. Whatever the Vedas described based on all these. It's not only about Vedas, they studied Avesta also, they studied European literature also. Based on all these, it is more or less, that is why even though many scholars, they object to this theory. But still, there are so many other scholars which are accepting this. Because alternative explanation is not even convincing them. It is more convincing.
We should not confine ourselves only literature, but you should also see the gain of categories.
That is where archaeology also comes. Exactly. If you are not able to accept what literature is saying, archaeology is the only other way. In Rig Veda, these are the terms, and it all shows the evidence that cattle is very important wealth, cow is very important medium of exchange also. Gotra. The daughter was also known as Duhitri. Daughter. So this shows the names, so many names derived from cow. Early Vedic, we are talking about early Vedic. That's why I told in the later time period. Duhitri early Vedic. Duhitri was also known as, daughter was also known as Duhitri, that means milcher of cow. Milcher means who take milk from cow. Milcher of cow. Next. Since cattle seem to have been tended by common headmen, common headsmen, it has been suggested that they were owned collectively by members of the tribe. Collective ownership. Collective ownership. Now these people used to migrate.
So what is Gomast?
Gomat is the wealthy person who own the cow. Suppose when they are migrating, this is one tribe. These people are not fully nomadic also, not fully settled also, semi-nomadic. Their main wealth is cattle. It shows Rigveda, he is giving so much evidence that many names derived from cow itself. That shows the importance. But these people were also growing little agrarian practices also. They were growing some crops also. And after some time they used to migrate to new place. That is how gradually migrations accumulated in this zone for 500 years. Next, to give the heading, this is pastoralism. Next one, agriculture. Agriculture. Early Aryans also practiced agriculture. Early Aryans also practiced agriculture. But references to agricultural activities in Rigveda are not many. For agriculture, not much literature is there. But when it comes to cattle, in so many places cattle was mentioned. So many names derived from cattle. It shows cattle is more important than agriculture. Sources for understanding that they know agriculture. How do we know? What terms are there in Rigveda? Yes, Eva. Krishi. Sources for understanding. Now, why we are saying that agriculture is not that important? Because the general terms associated with agriculture, there are not many references. Often there are very few references. The term Krishi occurs rarely in Rigveda. Krishi, that means to cultivate. Occurs rarely. The well-known term hala for plow. Hala is Haladara. Who is Haladara? Who carries hala? Brother of Sri Krishna, Balarama. Hala for plow is not found. Is not found. But other terms like Sira and Langla are mentioned for ploughing.
Hala is kind of same only.
So these two terms are mentioned, but Hala is not mentioned. So this is earlier version of Hala. And Krishi and Hala we are going to see in later Vedic time period. But in Rig Veda very rarely appeared, and Sira, Langla, they are mentioned in Rig Veda. Next point, references to ploughing, sowing, references to ploughing, sowing, reaping, threshing. These are all the terms associated with agriculture. References to ploughing, sowing, reaping, threshing occur in the later portions of Rig Veda. Occurs in the later portions of Rig Veda. Because Rig Veda compiled over a period of 500 years, 1500 BC and 1000 BC. In the initial phases, these terms are not mentioned, but they are appearing more in the later portions of Rig Veda. That means they are initially very much dominated by pastoralism and gradually moving towards agriculture.
So then you can difference that they are for semi-nomadic, they are trying to find a settlements.
Settlements. So same thing. Initially completely nomadic and semi-nomadic. Now if you come this side, nomadic, probably 2500 BC. And by 1500, semi-nomadic. And by 1000 onwards, you are going to the settled life. When settled life comes, when you are continuously moving, you will not create any kingdoms. When you settle for many generations, then you are going to create kingdoms, kings, Rajan. That is why when you are a settled person, different type of ideas at this stage. When you are continuously moving, different set of ideas. And these ideas we are calling Rig Veda, and these ideas later Vedic texts. And in fact, in our Indian tradition, whatever their ideas, they did not were written. They were not written. They were only orally transmitting to the generation after the generation. People were only remembering. Even whatever Buddha was teaching, his teachings were also not written immediately. He did not. They were only uttering. They were only whatever immediately they come to their mind, they were saying. Even the listeners were also remembering it with very high accuracy. And they were also listening with so much attention that they were able to remember it fully. Teacher says only once, but disciple also was so attentive that only once they remember for many long time. That is how it was going on. But only after so many centuries they were written down. When paper comes, initially Indian history, it was written on people leaves. And after that, only the existing survival text about these Vedas is latest version, whatever we are seeing, that is 11th century. Probably before 11th century also, Vedas must have written on people leaves somewhere, they would have written. In the initial days, even on the sheep hide also, they were written. In other places, when it comes to West Asia, they used to write whatever they know on the sheep hides. But that is not surviving in the Indian context. We were writing on the plant leaves. but that did not survive. Must be in 8th century, 7th century, or during Gupta time period they must have written. Kalidasa has written, but we don't know about Vedas properly compiled. They were only orally transmitting. One reason is they were so sacred that they might have felt it should not be written properly. Only it should be transmitted orally to the next generation because it is so sacred. But after certain generations, you will see these changes. People cannot remember everything 100%. And while they are uttering, they will add something new and they will pass to the next generation.
In examples, if you don't remember anything, we just
then we will keep writing something else. So teachers also, from my teacher I can learn something, but I cannot 100% as it is pass on to the next generation. Some I will delete and some I will forget and some I will add my own.
Some will learn something new because
that is the problem with Vedas. We don't know that at what point of time these ideas were there. Whether they were exactly the ideas of 1500 between 1000 or as it is orally transmitted, some ideas must be have there in 1000 AD. But 1000 AD some new ideas, but they are attributing to the 1500 BC as idea. So this interpolation, extrapolations used to take place, and it becomes very difficult for the historians to take Vedas as it is like historical documents. The existing survival is 11th century oldest one, but most of them recorded properly in 19th century only.
Because the mainly all of the because it says the God's words.
So God's words, they always seen as very sacred word. And those writing on the paper or on, they might have felt it will corrupt the idea. That's why they always pass down to in oral format.
What might be there, might not be there, but the historian should apply it in a very logical way, in a very reasonable way. So if there's something that's already saying it's a God's word, so it should not be taken as accurately or as seriously as in historical.
Exactly. That is why many historians take the reservation of taking this as historical document, because they are living in a different circumstance. The purpose of these texts also different. But problem for historians is there is no other resource except Vedas to understand the history between 1500 to 1000 BC. Historian want to reconstruct the history, but except Veda there is nothing else. Then what historian has to do?
Like Bible, we take it as a religious book, not as a historical book.
Exactly. But historians don't have any other reference. Then what else historian has to follow? Either you ignore completely or you take existing available evidence. So only solution is we read for history, but again trying to reconstruct it. Whatever they are saying, not literally taking, but inference. When we are saying that, for example, Indra was praised for giving 1000 cows. Then Indra gave 1000 cows, if Rigveda says. Then we cannot take it as in literal sense. God was praised and they were able to collect some 1000 cows. Or if not 1000, it might be 10,000.
Might have been like there are heavy rains, Indra gave rain.
Exactly. So it is important for cows. When grass is more, then cows also will be raised easily. That is why even many times Sahasra you will find. Sahasra means 1000. But we cannot take it as literally 1000. It must be exaggeration of might be 10 or 20 or 100. But 1000 always everywhere Sahasra means we cannot take it as. That is where history comes. That is what historian always need to reconstruct from the same resource very cautiously.
So in Mahabharata, Bhima had a power of 8500 elephants.
Then for human beings not possible. So he must be more powerful comparing with fellow brothers. So that way we have to swing. That is where rationality applies. That's where the science comes. This is what, based on the evidences, it appears important terms related to agriculture were not there in the early phases. Sira, Langla was mentioned. And when it comes to these terminologies, and these are also appearing in the later part of Rigveda, that shows Probably in the initial phase, nomadicism or pastoralism was dominating one, and gradually they are going towards agriculture. Some other terms related to agriculture.
Sir, so one thing that is that, sir, there is things, related things, we use it often, but we don't understand it. Because like, if we see a very fat person, we say that, भैंस की तरह हो गया, मतलब he's not a भैंस, he's
Exactly.
he looks like भैंस. That's why like हाथी की तरह का ताकत है, he's not an elephant. He has got strength which is more.
Just comparison. Comparing with the fellow human beings, more powerful.
But it doesn't mean that
It doesn't mean he became the animal. That he is as powerful as like animal. If he runs like a cheetah, he cannot become like a cheetah. But only to compare. So that's why we cannot take literal meaning of Vedas also. We have to reinterpret very sensitively to understand their circumstances. Flow. So you keep giving small headings and one line in the economy.
Under agriculture, introduction, sources, then plow.
Introduction done, sources done, now give plow. After sources, plow. Probably wood was used. Wood was used. Now you tell me, during Harappan civilization, what is the evidence to show that they were using the plow?
Terracotta plow was found.
Terracotta plow of, in which place? Banwali. Kalibangan gives the evidence of plowed field. Plowed field, Kalibangan. Terracotta evidence comes from Banwali. That is the evidence. You always try to remember the evidences. This is what it makes difference in history optional. And these are the words which give extra marks. Now wood was used. Plow was drawn by oxen. Drawn by oxen, like today also oxen.
Terracotta pillar was also found that oxen were there. Terracotta pillar is in Harappa.
Yes.
And plow.
Plow done. Next, seasons. They had the knowledge of seasons. They had the knowledge of seasons. Rigveda mentions 5 seasons. Next, fire. Fire was used for burning forests. Fire was used for burning forest. Iron was not available. No iron in Rigvedic period. Iron comes in later Vedic time period, after 1000 BC. So before 1000 BC, iron hardly available.
Most came in Mahajanapadas, and that is
Mahajanapadas, by that time period, even after before Mahajanapadas also iron there.
fragments.
Later Vedic time period, iron is going to play dominant role. That's why with iron they could clear Gangetic Valley. But in Indus plain, iron was not available. They were using forest fire.
That is why they were, Aryans people were restricted to the northwestern region.
Northwestern region, they were not able to entrench. It was taking long time. Crops. The main crop was Eva. In Rigveda, Eva was mentioned. Historians are taking, probably this is barley. Barley. Now, agriculture means people should own the land, own private property. People will continuously cultivate in the same land. But at this point of time, no concept of private property. No concept of private property. because at that time land was so much. If you are not able to stay here, you can go to new place and you can start cultivating. People did not fight for the land because land was plenty available. But you see, for cattle they were fighting.
Demand and supply.
That's why in their society, more than land, cattle is more important. And for cattle they kill, but for land they will leave. So this is how you can say. And if you want to become rich, you will not accumulate the land, you will accumulate the cattle. When it comes to later Vedic time period, you are going to accumulate land. And this is where the kingdoms emerged, kings emerged.
This kind of because they access shifted to alluvial plains. So they found naturally they found more cattle and goats.
Obviously, they identified land is more precious. Land is giving more wealth comparing with cattle, and they try to protect. Like in early Vedic time, they try to protect the cattle, and here they try to protect the land. If you protect the land, automatically you will protect the cattle also. And that is where, though whoever settled, and they started protecting their land. In this part, Jana became important. At this place, Janapada became important. Janapada, territory became important. If you protect the territory, you will automatically protect your cattle also. And this concept even today also. We are protecting our borders. If you protect the borders, automatically you will protect everything within the borders. You need not to protect each and every individual part of India. If you protect the boundaries, so that no invader come and no destruction takes place. And this is today's concept also, same thing. We are protecting the land, territory, and people are fighting for territory, killing for territory. But at this stage, cattle is the main source of conflict, not the land. Because land was not that utilized.
So what was wheat and rice at this time?
No wheat, no rice at this point of time. In later Vedic time period, it will come. Yava.
So this actually was one chemical use that's Yava that is found, which gives indication of which crop. And it gives wheat, rice, barley and maize.
Barley, okay.
Get corn. Because in one he was saying that my father is something, but I know corn.
Yes, yes. So this is Yava means at this point of time barley. No concept of private property. That's done. Next one, arts and crafts. We are in the economic. Now pastoralism done. Next agriculture done. Arts and crafts. Arts and crafts. They were utilizing horses, chariots. They were using chariots, horses and chariots. That gave more power to Aryans. That is why now they are continuously moving towards new areas, and they were able to win over the new areas. Horses and chariots. Probably spoked wheel, because chariots require spoked wheel. Spoked wheel in Caucasus region. Caucasus region in 2300 BC. Spoked wheel in Caucasus region introduced in 2300 BC itself. Now from Caucasus region only they are moving. Caucasus region is this one, between Black Sea and Caspian Sea. This is the region. Now in 2300 spoked wheel. Now with this chariots they were continuously moving. So they are coming with horses and chariots, and wherever they go it is easy for them comparing with these people. Now here horse is very limited usage comparing with the bull. And spoked wheel also not identified. That means these people have more powerful and they are one. And in fact, this is going to be almost a common phenomena when it comes to Central Asian contacts. Kushanas, when they come here, even the strength of Kushanas is also their military tactics. Later, Hunas will come and again military tactic. Later, Turkish people will come, again military tactic. Then after that, Babur will come, same. As long as horsepower was dominated the military scene, Central Asian people have the advantage over this. And later when horse was not that important in military, that's why now Central Asian people are not that powerful. Comparing with cannons, comparing with new tanks, new aeroplanes, new flights, now completely different scenario is happening. Now drones, now military means now we are using in the form of drones. People are not going, military is not going, but weapons are going. And even in Ukraine war, now also Russia is purchasing drones from Iran. Iranians supplied drones to Russians to fight in Ukraine. And they are effectively functioning. So the nature of military itself changed. But as long as horse was dominant, these people have the advantage and they were winning over these particular people. Turkish people were also, Babur also, Hunas also, Kushanas also, Greeks also, everywhere. So Mongol horses, now almost they completely eradicated previous kingdoms.
So you said that Genghis Khan committed so much of murder that the carbon content of the earth reduced.
And now you see, so that kind of, so Central Asian people had military advantage because of this. Even during Vedic time period also, same thing. And now for horses and chariots, you need some kind of arts and crafts. They were having some knowledge about arts and crafts as well. Write this. Carpenter, chariot maker, carpenters, chariot makers, weavers, leather worker, weaver, leather worker, potter, are mentioned in Rig Veda. Mentioned in Rig Veda.
Are their names important?
No names are important, just you mention like this, normal English terms only. Rig Veda might have mentioned different names for these people, like Radhakara. Radha means chariot, Radhakara. So Sanskrit words. You can call these early Vedic Sanskrit. Early Vedic Sanskrit words were used for this. Even the river names also, Purushni, Shutudri, they are early Vedic Sanskrit words. Today English words are different. Metal, last point in this, metal. They also know the metal called IAS. AYAS, IAS. This term is used for copper and bronze. Copper and bronze. This shows metal working. This shows metal working is also known to them. Metal working also known to them. Now last one in economy, that is trade. Trade. Now are you identifying? In historical period, these institutions are going to dominate. Agriculture is going to dominate, and arts and crafts, then trade. These three segments are going to continuously dominate. more and more as we proceed to Mahajanapadas, as we proceed to Mauryans, post-Mauryans, Guptas. Land is going to become important. Whenever kingdoms are less powerful, land is going to become more powerful. That's what the rise of feudalism. After Gupta time period, we are going to see the age of feudalism. And at that time, land plays dominant role. Trade.
That is the period some historians known as called as the dark period of.
Colonial historians consider it as a dark period. But if you see culture and other developments in terms of language, in terms of patronage of architecture, it is one of the golden periods. Many UNESCO World Heritage Sites were developed or constructed during that time period. Now, is it possible without wealth, such kind of monuments can be built? That means wealth also must be generating. And trading also, in the northern part, trade declined, but in the southern part, they were trading with outside world, Southeast Asia, West Asia. That's why always when it comes to Indian history, without understanding regional histories, you are going to understand in a wrong way with respect to Indian history. For example, from 1500 to 1000, Vedic history is not the Indian history. It is the history of this northwestern part of India. And that's why I have given the contemporaries. If you want to talk about Indian history, that means you have to talk about all these people, what happened between 1500 to 1000. But our history is dominated by early Vedic history alone. And it is also, there is other way also. Even students are also not that comfortable. They feel more syllabus is there, more exams or more questions are going to be required. And students are also not comfortable. They are feeling very hard in reading early Vedic itself. And if you include others also, they will not read.
Early Vedic is nothing is there. No archaeological sources. No.
So that's why, with respect to history point of view, you are just reading history of this geographic region alone.
I feel, sir, in some sites where archaeological sources are less, their syllabus is less. And when literary sources are more, then also syllabus is less.
Okay.
That example of Harappa and Mohan, as described by Vedas. Vedas, we do not have any that extent of architecture, archaeological sources.
Archaeological sources.
We have so much of literary sources. But still, we can complete it in 3 pages. But take Harappa, it will take about a month to finish because no literary sources is found, but archaeological sources is so much there. And also the extent also.
Yes. So that's why you have to see Indian history means you have to talk about every part of India. Then only you can really say that you are talking about Indian history for this part.
That is really college text. I don't think it should be.
That's why just you mention whenever contemporaries come, just you mention in other parts also, along with Vedic people, other parts are also going on. Now when it comes to trade, this is going to be important one. Trade. We do not have clear evidence of the existence of regular trade. We do not have clear evidence of the existence of regular trade. The Vedic people used land routes. Vedic people used land routes. They do not have, you include this, it seems they do not have an idea about ocean. They know land routes, but no sea route. Because they are coming from the Central Asian, they did not know sea route. The word Samudra, but the word Samudra is there in Rig Veda. The word Samudra in Rig Veda mentioned about a stretch of water. Because Indus River, very huge river, their tributaries are very huge. So probably when they see, particularly during monsoon time period, when they swell, it appears like a huge, like ocean. And that's why probably in that context they might have used samudra for stretch of water. But really, ocean, they did not come up to this far.
Actually, sir, the literal translation of sea and ocean is both samudra.
What is that?
Literal translation of in Hindi, sir.
Okay.
Sea and ocean is both samudra only. In paper, there is picture of samudra and samudra. Like we don't have any other name for sea and ocean.
Okay.
And we have this conception that ocean is big,
Okay.
sea is small.
Same term.
Same term.
Okay. So might be, but geographical point of view, real ocean is not there, but samudra means probably they are using for the river water only, that's samudra name. Next one, no urban areas. In trade itself, land route we have seen, ocean route, no ocean. No urban areas. No urban areas. The term pura or pur probably used for a cluster of dwellings. Cluster of dwellings. For example, today also we use the term city. Even 1 lakh people are there, we sometimes million people, million city. Some cities having 10 lakh people, some cities have 50 lakhs, some people have 100 lakh or 1 crore people. City only, but number of population is changing. Similarly, at that time, they might have used pura for dwelling of clusters of dwelling, but not the way we understand today. But it was not related to a fort or city. Not fort, not city. As we understand, they were not talking about fort or cities with this word pura, probably only cluster of dwellings. Sometimes dwelling unit is credited, sometimes dwelling units credited with 1,000 doors.
1,000 doors.
1,000 doors, that means 1,000 houses with 1,000 doors. In bracket, sahasra. So they often use this term, sahasra. But the term sahasra is used as an exaggeration. But the term sahasra is used as an exaggeration in many places of Rig Veda. In many places of Rig Veda. Therefore, Aryans did not live in cities. This is about trade and trade routes, the economy of Vedic people done. Tomorrow we will do society, religion and gods, polity also. Yeah. So everything comes in society.
So then tomorrow we'll start later Vedic also.
In later Vedic also?
Tomorrow we'll start later Vedic also.
Tomorrow early Vedic we will finish. Early Vedic we are going to finish. So always try to see this one. Tomorrow when you come, you write that question. I have given geographical area known to them. So as...
Sir, 1985 question. 1985.
Yes, geographical area known to Aryan. Daily you try to practice.
Sir, what
Sanju, daily try to write practice.
marks?
Marks are 15 marks. You take it as 15 mark.
That's a link.
2 pages.
It's a link to WhatsApp to me.
Okay, I'll make that. So you try to write it. Every day if you practice, then only you will get the clarity on how to write answers. Thank you. Thank you, Sanju. Tomorrow we'll meet.